It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. I got a text message from Elaine, our Sunset Cliffs client. I had done a video update over there a month or two ago. Her mangaves that we planted, one in the ground and one in a pot, were pouting. And I've never known a mangave to pout, so Greg and I raced over. And I determined upon closer inspection of the one in the ground that the soil seemed a little dry. And it was pouting, it just looked dry. So I watered it in really well. I also watered the one in the pot. And I told her, no fear, don't worry. In a couple of days, you'll see that they will have bounced right back. And they didn't. They're still pouting. So we're going to head over there on, I believe, is it tomorrow we're going over there, Greg? Yeah, to see what's up. But in the meantime, I needed to identify a plant in my garden that I could replace them with. So I am going to take over my Pringlei cactus for her pot. And I'm going to take over this Dickia to plant in the ground where that one is struggling. So why did I choose this Dickia? I love this plant, but it isn't a friendly plant. Those of you that have ever worked with Dickia know that they're vicious. You know, it's not even technically a succulent. Dickia do not store moisture in their leaves the way a succulent plant does, but they are succulent-like in that they're extremely drought tolerant. They come from, well, they're endemic to Brazil. They prefer really arid conditions and then monsoon conditions in the wintertime. They like to be soaked in between being dry as a bone, which probably explains why this thing has thrived here right next to my pond, since I am forever and always overflowing the pond by forgetting to turn off the hose and submerging this poor little guy on a regular basis. It's also a monocarpic plant. You can see where this Dickia has bloomed out. This happened years ago from the center, and then like a good mangave, interesting, they throw off pups, and it kind of conceals that dead stalk in the middle that was the mom. So this is not a plant that I am particularly passionate about. I like it, but it doesn't really have any great significance to me. I've never really loved it right here. It is very, very close to the edge of the patio, and I'm always concerned that the grandbabies are going to stumble into it. So it feels really good to dig it out. Also, always with the leaves, I can't get at them. The weeds, I can't get at it. So I'm super excited to dig this out and then just do a little smoke and mirroring to see what I can do to fill the gap. Let's see what happens. This has been in the ground here for years, you guys. I don't even know what to expect. Well, not a whole lot happening root-wise, I can tell you that. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, let's tip it over. And what we have under there, dang. I mean, look at that. There's like no, basically almost no roots. That is so weird. This is the first time I have messed with this plant in years. And I'm so surprised by this. There's just not much happening under here at all. Let's see. The soil smells good. I don't see anything in it. There's no bugs or anything. Don't think it's not showing any signs of rot. It's just not prolifically rooting. But look, at how happy it still is, despite the fact that it's operating off of very little root. And this soil is also fairly soft. So it's not like I planted it on concrete and it didn't have anywhere for the roots to go. I don't really have much of an explanation for that. You know, you don't hear me talk about Dickia that often because I have this one and then I have another silver one in a white pot over in Bentley's toilet area. Those are the only two in my experience. Rarely ever see these available at the nurseries. So, you know, they're not really in my wheelhouse in terms of buying them for clients. I just know this to be a really, really tough cookie here in my garden. And I wanted something for Elaine, you know, that would thrive because she's feeling, you know, a little funny about her mangaves and probably a little insecure, and I want her to have success. So I think that this is a really, really good plant to take over to her place. So now that I've got, oh yeah, and please, in the comments, if you have a Dickia story, please tell it to us. We'd love to hear your experience with this really, really pretty plant. I don't want to just leave this like this. So I got to looking too, and you can see that I have flagstones here. The idea is that I can walk along the path and work on my plants pond side. And these succulents have grown over my flagstone and have completely and utterly run amok. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping here and get these off my flagstone. Oh my gosh, this is great. Got ghosties in here. I've got sedum California sunset in here, kiwis in here, rubra in here. Man, this feels really great to clean this up. I'm telling you, if you just get out in your garden and focus on just a little area and just let it see where it takes you, and you will be absolutely amazed. Okay, so what I have effectively done here is exposed my flagstone, and I don't want to go crazy with these rubra because those tiny little cuttings aren't going to do crap here at this time of year. Remember, it is July. It is summer. It's hot. Also, want to point out to you something that I did here. I planted some of my Echeveria elegans, my Mexican snowballs, under the shade of this Fred Ives. And see how much happier they are than some of the other ones in my garden that are exposed to more sun. They're, you know, they're opened. This one's a little closed, but they, look at those, opening and also propagating like the good hen and chick that they are. So here I've created some of nature's umbrella and adapted the microclimate to serve them and suit them, as well as look really, really great. So that's an idea too. If you have plants that are struggling, some of you have been sending me pictures of your echeverias that are exposed in full sun right now, and they are just desiccated. Nancy, I'm talking to you. And the secret to success is to get them out of the sun and into the shade ASAP. Okay, so I'm going to take, oh, look at that. Look what I just unearthed. A gopher hole. Okay, that might explain why that Dickia doesn't have any roots. You think? Yep. But you know what? Here's proof in the pudding that succulents don't really need roots, and they are indeed somewhat optional. We have gopher activity right here, and none of these plants are struggling or showing any sign of distress. And that gopher has just been having a heyday, or had a heyday on the roots of all those plants with no ill effects. You gotta love that. Okay, so now I know that the gopher had, oh, oh my gosh, there's another one. Another hole right there, hole right there. This is like Gopher Central. Heck. So if you've got, you know, an area that the gophers love, go get you some Dickias and plant them, because clearly the Dickia doesn't care about the gophers. Amazing. Amazing. I'm just cutting off enough stem that that the succulent will stand up. I love sedums so much because they are, for the most part, just so tough. And the rosettes are so pretty. It's the first succulent, really, I think, that I fell in love with. I just loved them. I thought they looked like jewels. Ew, what is going on here? These are actually in the ground, just sitting there all by themselves, collecting bougainvillea leaves and looking really rough. Let me get these back here, too. Just like candles on a birthday cake. And now I can pick up the bougainvillea leaves. Oh, God, it feels great to do that. A little housekeeping. What a mess. It's always something, isn't it, guys? Okay, and then I've got more kiwi here. And this is, we're in, practically the hottest part of the day right now in a fully exposed area of my garden. And yet these plants have lovingly cast some shade. So I'm feeling really good about what I'm doing now, knowing that these tender little plants are going to get some protection from the sun. This rubbertinctum came out. You can see that it's got some roots right there. So I'm not going to cut above that root. I'm going to go ahead and plant this with those hair roots intact to give it a better chance of survival. So I'll just lay that flat on the ground, press it in, see there, that looks great. Here's a big fat juicy kiwi. I know that one's going to do well, and it can also be a little nature's umbrella for some of those smaller, more sensitive understories. These big, fat, juicy sedums aren't going to have any problem thriving right now. Yeah, all of the plants that you see here around my pond get flooded year-round, at least once a month, sometimes twice, and on a really, really rough month, maybe 5 or 6 times, as I forget to set the hose and then forget to turn it off. And I've never lost anything. Okay. There we go. Now I'm just going to rob Peter to pay Paul with a little bit of rock. Fill that in there. And now when I come out here with my coffee or my lemon water or my iced tea, or if I just come out to pick up poop or to water or whatever, whatever excuse I make to come out here multiple times a day. Isn't this agavoides gorgeous right there? I'm going to look at this and smile, knowing that I took 10 or 15 minutes out of my day to fix something that was bugging me, that looked a little rough. It makes me feel like I have some control over my otherwise chaotic life right now, to get out here and do just a little bit of puttering. Now I can go put this Dickia. I don't even need to put it in a pot. There's no point. There's no roots on it. So I'll probably transport that in an old bath towel and just drop it on the ground at Elaine's, right? You'll see tomorrow. Be sure and tune in. We'll go ahead and quote unquote plant it at her place, and then we'll follow its progress and see if it doesn't just thrive for her too. So yeah, there you go. That just all looks so much tighter and so much better. I'm so tickled that we solved the mystery about the no roots. We had a gopher that was feasting on them. And yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.